Howdy YouTube, today we're taking a look at the Jakks Series 2 Junior Dos Santos. Now I'm going to use this review obviously to take a look at Cigano, but I'm also going to talk about his latest performance against Alistair Overeem and break down my thoughts on the recent UFC fight night. So if you don't want any spoilers or anything like that, skip to the bit where I take a look at the back of the packaging, but as of now I'm going to start running through those results. We'll start with Nate Diaz. He impressed the hell out of me. I love watching him fight. If you haven't seen my figure review on him, check that out. You'll know that I'm a big fan of his. I love his boxing. I think he's an extremely underrated and talented fighter. He destroyed the number 5 ranked fighter in his division. At the end, called out Conor McGregor as well, which is interesting because, and we'll get to the main event, but several people calling out Conor. I guess that's where the big money fight is. That's certainly one I'd love to see, Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. That would be epic, I think. So well done to him. Then we'll go to JDS and Overeem. And I don't know what it is. I really like both these fighters. I'm a big fan of Overeem, but I'm also a huge fan of JDS. I think he's an extremely talented fighter. I love his boxing, and one of my favourite fights of all time is Junior Dos Santos versus Frank Mir when when Dos Santos was the heavyweight champion. Just to see that performance and how demoralising he was to Frank Mir, and just the level of boxing that he has. And then the last few fights he's had, he just hasn't looked good. I mean, Cain Velasquez 2, he got monstered. Cain Velasquez 3, he got brutalised. Against Stipe Miocic, I'll be honest, I think the judges gave the decision to JDS. I don't know why, because I think Miocic won, which is really sad for me, big JDS fan. And now against Overeem, to get knocked down with that big hook, fair enough, I suppose. But he had him like he's there, and he's got Overeem on the ropes, and he just lets his hands loose. It's almost like he's really stressed. He just relaxes and starts unloading some bombs on Overeem. But then he does it for like a short 10-second burst and then breaks where he needed to have kept the pressure, especially to Overeem. I think he's got a very weak chin. I don't think he can cop a lot of punishment, or too much punishment anyway, like he could back in the good old TRT days. So I'm really disappointed for Overeem, and it's a shame. I don't know what's happened to him. He's still young. He's only 31. So as you've seen with the heavyweight division, normally they've got a longer shelf life, with people like Verdum, the current heavyweight champ, being 38, Randy Couture, Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin, all those guys that were much older. Even Velasquez, I think he's 35, 36, so he still has a little way to go. But it was just a really disappointing performance from Dos Santos, and made me a little bit sad because I am a huge fan of his. I hope he bounces back. I'd love to see him make another run for the title. I'd love to see him and Fabricio Verdum too. I think that'd be a great fight. But anyway, in terms of the main event as well, Rafael Dos Anjos just monstered Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy Cerrone, 8-fight win streak, blah, blah, blah. Just got his head destroyed by Dos Anjos, who really I was never a big fan of. But after this recent performance, I think I'm on board. He really impressed me. In terms of this figure, as you can see, a Kmart exclusive. I was lucky enough to get this in a set with several other UFC figures, such as Overeem and also Cain Velasquez. Series 2, so it's one of the newer UFC-style semi-octagon packages, which I really like, preferred to the big, bulky, old-school style packages. Shame they still don't make these. Even if they made 1 or 2 figures a year, I think that would be enough for collectors, and there'd still be great money in it. A Rousey figure, a Conor McGregor figure would do great money. But anyway, so let's get this guy opened up out of packaging and hopefully give you guys a cool review. But before we do that, we'll take a look on the back. Other figures in the set, of course, we've got Overeem, Velasquez, Anderson Silva, and Lyoto the Dragon Machida. It says here UFC on Fox, obviously where he knocked out Cain Velasquez in spectacular fashion to claim the heavyweight title. At the time, he was 28 years old. He's 6 foot tall and he weighs 108 kilos, so he's actually a lot lighter. A lot of the heavyweights tend to be around that 265 mark. He is from Brazil. What's interesting is he's supposed to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but we've never seen any of his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's mainly boxing. You see the stats there, 85% is striking, which always makes for an entertaining fight. Although, having said that, the fight today was a little bit of a snooze fest, especially in round one. So with that, let's get JDS out of packaging. And here we have Dos Santos opened up and out of packaging. And one thing I've got to give Jakks, they do an excellent job with their UFC figures. I think they absolutely nailed this guy. I'll bring it forward so you guys can take a look at the face. 100% no doubt that is JDS. Really good face scan there. I think they did a fantastic job capturing his likeness. What's interesting, he's only 31. His most recent fight, he was bald. And, I don't know, it made him look a lot older. I wasn't a fan. Grow some hair back, please, JDS. What's interesting, too, is he's still got the two-toned body. That was probably my biggest gripe with the UFC figures. His arms and head are a different colour to his torso, which is a bit of a shame. A lot of other figures like the Minotauro Nogueira and the Mark Coleman, a lot of the Series 1, Brock Lesnar even, had the same issue. So it's a shame that we were still getting that even at Season 2, or Series 2, I should say. Lots of nice sponsors, though. One thing I like with the pre-Reebok tights is that you do get to see some personalised, custom MMA shorts. Gillette, nice. What's that on the back? Team Nogueira. That's kind of cool, actually. A very nice looking figure. Very happy I was able to pick this guy up. Now, in terms of articulation, he's got a ball-jointed head. He's got the standard UFC arm swivel. He's got ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed bicep, bend in the elbow. And sorry, it's not ball-joint, swivel in the bicep. Bend in the elbow, swivel wrists, ab crunch, swivel waist. He's got ball-jointed legs, swivel in the thigh, swivel in the or above the knee, double bend in the knee, and then ball-jointed ankles. So a great range of articulation, which is essential for a lot of these figures, so you can get some really good MMA-style poses. Now, he does come with the UFC World Heavyweight Championship belt, a really cool-looking belt. I think it's one of the nicest-looking championship belts of all time. It pretty much just slots on like so. And there you go. One of the baddest men on the planet. Certainly someone with just brutal knockout power. It's just a shame that lately he has not been, fighting up to his potential. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this JDS figure. I think it's one of the better figures that Jakks ended up releasing. Having said that, though, all the UFC heavyweight figures, I think they did a really good job. If you get a chance, no questions, I think this guy is well worth picking up. He's pretty rare and hard to find. He comes with the UFC Heavyweight Championship belt as well. Nice sponsors on the MMA trunks. Cool design, great articulation, great fighter, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this review on the UFC Series 2 Junior Dos Santos.